Hey guys, welcome to the show. My name is Spencer, and I will be your barely functioning host for today's episode of Expat Soup. Once again, we're coming to you live here from Jimmy V's in Yangzhou, China. And I'm sitting here with the homie Lee.
Hey.
And today's expat guest is a Mr. Kevin Farrell. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, guys.
Says here, teacher, musician, writer, humble brag, movie watcher, Ravenclaw, and rabid NASCAR enthusiast. All right.
Partly correct.
So
you're Gryffindor.
Do you like NASCAR?
No, I usually, if I'm going to watch sports, I find something better to do than just watch people take left turns all day.
Well, I've never watched a full race, but those cars go pretty fast.
Are they always lefters? Do they never go the other way?
No, there's two tracks that are like, that maybe have one right turn, but for the most part, they're just ovals.
And there's either the left track or the right track.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It could still be an oval and turn right. Just be the other way.
So welcome to the NASCAR edition of Expat Soup.
Well, I'm out of here.
So Kevin Farrell, where are you from?
I'm from Canada.
Canada, the Great White North. Is that what they call it?
That's what, I guess some people call it. I don't really hear a lot of Canadians call it that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone calls it that except Americans.
What's the white part? It's 2020.
Snow.
Okay.
It's because of snow.
Okay, so I'm racist.
Cocaine.
So you're from Canada. Where are we talking?
It's kind of complicated.
Oh, great.
Forget it. Let's move on.
Well, the province of Ontario, but jumped around a lot. I was born in Niagara Falls, Ontario.
In the waterfall.
Yeah, the horseshoe side, the cool part.
Yeah, I've heard it's better looking from the Canada side.
It's much better, yeah.
Okay.
Is it a big area, that whole, I guess, town, city?
Not so much. It's like tourism for the most part. It's like maybe 100,000 people live in the city, maybe even a bit less.
They all rely on the tourism, right? They're all in that job.
Yeah, there's actually kind of like this weird thing they do in Niagara Falls where if you are a tourist or if you are from just like a different city in Canada and go to stay at a hotel or something, you get charged like tourism tax for everything unless you specify like, hey, I live here, like I'm not paying for this shit. But it's weird because you just have to say that. You don't really have to prove it. But most tourists don't know that. They just see tourism tax on their bill and they're like, oh,
well, I guess I'm dumb, so. Yeah. So after Niagara, what happened to your childhood?
Yeah, I was 3 years old when I moved from there. So most of my memories of Niagara Falls are just visiting family, not so much when I actually lived there. I spent most of my life before I was an adult in Windsor, Ontario, right across from Detroit.
Okay, so it's kind of in the middle of Canada? Or east?
No, it's like the very bottom of Canada.
No, I mean like...
Central.
Bottom.
Okay,
yeah.
I see what you mean. Yeah. It's like... people from Alberta or BC or out west, they refer to it as like the east, but to us it's like, because there's so many people in Ontario, and I guess maybe we see ourselves as like the center of the Canadian universe. And everything, even like Quebec doesn't really seem like it's that east. Anyway, but yeah, I'd say central Canada. Yeah.
And Windsor is big, small, medium?
200,000 people. Okay. Colbert once referred to it as the armpit of Canada.
Okay. So
do you agree with that sentiment?
Smells bad there?
I don't know. Like, it's easy to like
just really ticklish
shit on a place that like you grew up in. But I do have very fond memories of that place, though.
How many people were in your like class, like your graduating class, like, just your grade, like 100, 500?
No, like my entire high school, I think maybe had like 800 to 1,000 people in the whole high school. So like
everybody kind of knows
a fourth
everybody.
Of that, yeah. Because I went to a high school that was like in a town of like 10,000 people to avoid going to a Catholic high school.
Okay. So happy Easter.
Yeah, thank you.
Or I guess that's not okay, or
oh, that's fine.
You hate Catholics?
I don't get offended very easily.
Okay. Well, we'll see about that. first question. Why is your dick small?
Well, you'd have to. It's genetics, man. Like, I don't know.
Okay, that was a good.
Gotcha.
I was expecting. You got me.
It's not my fault.
So, what kind of high school kid were you? Which kind of group were you in? Were you like
It's a tough
jock?
one, like,
football?
I guess.
Star? Quarterback?
What's a Canadian jock? Is it just an ice hockey player? Is that a jock?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, guy who plays hockey.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I don't know. It's a little again like. But it's like I see it in kind of myself now, which is weird. How you have like these personality traits that you think like you outgrow, but you have like different versions of the same personality traits when you get older. It's kind of like I hung out with different groups of people. Like I would hang out with the smoker kids.
You were
I
the
would hang
butterfly?
out with the, but not even like because I was like social. It just like I don't know.
Maybe finding your own place in the groups.
I don't know. Like
Did the groups ever overlap? Were there ever?
Not really, no. It's like I would have friends. Most of the like my really good friends in high school were probably like in the nerd category. Like they would play way more video games than I would play, but I just liked them as people, so I hung out with them more.
Yeah.
And then like I would hang out with like the smoker kids, and then the kids who played music. I had a weird high school that there wasn't really a lot of like, oh, if you're a jock, then like the nerds are like pieces of shit and we don't like talk to them. It's like everyone was very
I think
Canadian.
Well, I mean, yes.
But my sister went to a Catholic high school and it was very cliquey.
Oh, really?
Where my high school really wasn't.
I think the UK, like, similarly, we never had the experience of, like, there were groups of people, but it was never like, we hate that group, let's bully that group. That seemed more of a movie or
It was
TV
usually
show
just
thing.
one kid.
Yeah.
Everybody bullied.
Individual basis.
Yeah. It wasn't a group, oh, you're a group of these people, we will.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That just seemed very artificially made. So did you find your personality changing based on what group you're in? So you're with the smokers, you're more X.
Like not
with
so
them,
much.
more
It's still
Y.
maybe just like the specific things that I was interested in, because I was interested in a lot of different things, would just like come up more based on a specific group.
Yeah.
But I think like me as a person was pretty consistent.
What? When did you? Let's look at a couple of your tattoos here. I see Bender.
Yep, Futurama, Bender, also an homage to my cat.
Okay. Yeah. Did you name your cat Bender before the show?
No, I was obsessed with Futurama, especially my first few years of university when I was smoking a decent amount of pot. And I was looking for a cat on Kijiji, which is like...
What is that?
I guess it's
Canadian
like,
Craigslist?
Yeah, without like the CD stuff attached to it.
Kijiji.
Yeah, Kijiji, like Kijiji.
Is that still a thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And I saw like I was scrolling through all these like different cats and stuff, and I just like stopped at one because it was all these tabby cats, and in the middle was this gray cat with this like weird face where his eyes were like a little like too close together. And I was like, I'm getting that cat, and I'm calling him Bender. It was like an instinctual spur of the moment kind of thing. Yeah, and it worked out perfectly because he's a dick who hates
a robot.
everyone. So in this situation, it's like he is Bender and I'm Fry, basically, because he hates everyone except me.
Awesome. Do you get updates on Bender? Where's he at now?
He's with my parents and definitely get updates. My mom will send me like a picture of his food bowl because he does this weird thing, and I think it's because nobody in my family ever had a cat growing up. We had a dog, like a family dog. So when I was raising him since he was like 6 weeks old, I probably imparted some like dog training into him a little bit. And he's like, he does this thing where like to tell my parents that he needs to eat, he'll bring these little stuffed balls and put them into his food dish. But like a lot of them, like he'll go downstairs and retrieve them like a golden retriever, which was my family dog, and put them like into his bowl and be like, yo, food now.
This isn't food.
Yeah.
I need the real thing.
That's pretty good. I've never seen someone train a cat before, really.
Yeah.
What's the one just above that then? On the
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the Twitter bio you were reading. It's Ravenclaw. That's my Harry Potter house.
So how did you determine you're a Ravenclaw?
Well,
Have you read the books?
yeah.
Okay.
That'd be weird if it did.
No, like I saw the 4th movie.
I've never even watched it.
You just like Ravens,
Yeah. And claws.
big Baltimore fan.
No. But no, there's J.K. Rowling's, the author of Harry Potter, has
Rowling.
a website. Yeah, whatever. She has a website called Pottermore, and she basically designed the test for people to find out what house they're in.
So it's official.
It's official.
Do
Which
you
is why
feel
you're
like a
officially a Hufflepuff, because I
I'm a
gave you that
Hufflepuff.
test.
What is a Hufflepuff?
It's a slur to
You're-
him. Like,
you're a good-
he just called you a bad word.
You're a good finder, I think, is what it means.
You're a hippie. That's
well,
what it means.
I can't find my keys, so. Anywho,
But realistically, you wouldn't be a Ravenclaw because you're Canadian, and you probably wouldn't go to Hogwarts.
True, but there's, as far as I know, there's no Canadian like wizarding school.
I don't think.
Well, she
there's-
came out with like a
But-
thing recently about North America having some.
Well,
kind of-
America has one.
Yeah.
But I feel like Canada, we probably would go to Hogwarts because we're still kind of
The
very
co-
attached
the
to
colony-
England.
colony,
like the
yeah.
Queen is still on our money.
It's fair. That's fair.
So that's my rationale for that.
There is no actual Hogwarts, guys. If you're confused, is there?
It's a national secret. I can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay,
It's not in the purview of Hufflepuffs.
got it. So what? First, like impressions. What do you think Lee's house is?
Not Slytherin.
Slytherin's
Maybe, like-
Slytherin is the bad boys, right?
Yeah. I can't really know. Like, I don't know for sure, but I don't know. If I was to pick two, like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like 50-50, I would say the last two on the board would be Ravenclaw or Gryffindor.
Okay, Gryffindors are the smarties, like the.
No, they're actually notoriously the worst students.
Yeah, they're just like
Oh.
brave and.
But they're like bold
brash.
and like,
yeah.
you know, they'll
Stupid.
stand up for their friends and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like Harry Potter was a
Lame.
Gryffindor. He wasn't smart.
Yeah.
Right,
But like,
but he wore glasses.
there's like that theory where like the three main characters are in Gryffindor, but they were supposed to be in the other houses, but their bravery is what pushed them over the edge. It's like your dominant kind of quality, the one you care about the most.
So, you as a Ravenclaw, do you ever find a situation where you're like, "That's so Ravenclaw"?
What do you mean?
That's a joke about
It's a bad
a
joke.
Disney show with the.
Oh, that's okay.
That's
It
so
went right over
Ravenclaw.
my head.
Mm-hmm. No, but seriously, what's a trait of a Ravenclaw? Honesty,
They're the nerds.
Wisdom.
wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, and Hufflepuff
They
just
Like
sucks.
loyalty.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
All right.
Everyone likes Hufflepuffs, but they don't take you seriously.
And Harry was a Gryffindor.
Yes.
All right. So what? Why'd you become so? What's the Harry Potter? Why did it have such an impact on you?
I think it was because, like, me and my sister are really close, and there's a 5-year age difference between us. And for her, the first book came out when she was the same age as the main characters, and when the first movie came out, I was the same age as the main characters. So it's like, by the time you get to the end of that story being told through the books and through the movies, it goes at like 1 year at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of like, we grew up with
Just
the characters.
really resonated.
So it's like, for some people now, they're like, oh, I've never seen like Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter. It's hard for me to say that like, oh, you're going to love it, because it comes from such a nostalgic, like, I grew up with it every year of my life with these characters.
What do you did the
Kinda
movies do it justice? Are they good?
Yeah.
I've seen a few.
There's like a couple of them that don't, like, the 4th and 5th book are like really big books, but the movies don't really reflect that. It's like the last book is in 2 movies, but if they were going to do like a 2-parter, it probably should have been the 4th or the 5th book.
I love how
But-
Daniel Radcliffe just like got all that Harry Potter money, and now he makes like random movies where his
Guns Akimbo.
Swiss
Mhm.
Army Man,
Yeah.
which was just an insane movie.
At least people are giving him work. I think Rupert Grint's kind of the one that's just everyone's forgotten
He fell
about.
by the wayside. Yeah, it's definitely the
Emma
hair.
Watson is basically Hermione in real life. You know?
Yeah, she's been in some stuff. Beauty and the
Nothing
Beast.
great. Yeah, she
was
was
she
in-
in Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, and
She did that.
there's that Tom Hanks
biblical
movie,
one
The
as
Circle,
well.
that was like horrible.
What was the one?
Noah?
Noah.
Was it
Yeah.
Noah?
Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with Russell Crowe.
Yeah, yeah.
Her agent doesn't know her very much.
Hey.
All right, so Bender,
Yeah.
Gryffindor. What's this guy? The paper.
Wait, is this origami?
Your paper tattoo?
That's Blade Runner, right?
Yeah, it's my favorite movie of all time.
So you're a big movie buff.
Yes.
And you're also very buff.
That's not
You're
true.
a buff movie.
Okay.
What's the deal with Blade Runner? I watched it, and I finished it, and I was like, "What just happened?" It's like there's a lot of.
When did you watch it?
There's not much dialogue, if I remember.
No, which is weird because I love dialogue. Like, I love movies that people are like, this is boring. They just talk. Like, I love those movies. But there's something about Blade Runner where it's like, it came out in 1982, but nothing feels like, oh, this was an 80s movie.
It does hold up very well, the special effects, for sure.
A big part of it, if I would, just pick like one of my top things about it that I love is the score done by Vangelis that like makes that world feel so unique and different from everything else.
It's a very lived in world. Like it definitely does have that quality. What was the point of it?
Well, he's hunting down these
like just the not the story so much.
Yeah.
Like there's a message, right?
like what it is to be human.
Right. Okay. And
Even if you're not a human, you
have
can
seen it,
maybe
right?
be more of a human.
It was a while ago, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked it. I just was a little like.
What did you think of the sequel?
I loved it, and I didn't expect to, because I love the soundtrack from the original one done by Vangelis so much that when he wasn't coming back and doing the music, and they were like, Hans Zimmer's doing it, the guy that like is like that's like his thing. I was like, oh, just like on that alone, like it's probably not going to be like that great. But he paid such a good homage to the style of Vangelis's music while making it like, hey, this is what the music for this would sound like 30 years later, which is, the movie takes place 30 years later.
And the cinematography and lighting is just
beautiful.
incredible.
Roger Deakins, Skyfall in 1917. It's like
that color palette.
One of the only guys that they let still, make quality cinematography with big budget movies.
I think that film and the recent Mad Max film, like every frame is just like a painting. Basically, you can stop it at any point.
It's a good YouTube channel.
Which one?
Every frame a painting.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Have you? Do you know that?
I do.
I thought you were making up a YouTube channel.
No, it is actually.
No, it's
really?
actually
They
really
deep
good.
dive in movies.
Okay. I gotta watch.
Great one about Chaplin or Buster Keaton. I can't remember which one. Anywho, so movies, you like them?
Love them. Yep.
What's this guy?
This is Green Lantern. Oh, sorry, no, Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
You're a big Batman guy, yeah?
Yep.
Is that your only Batman tattoo
That is the only one
that we
Yep.
can see?
Yeah. He's got that Batarang tramp stamp.
That would be a
No,
solid.
it's just a
tramp stamp.
Robin symbol.
So what's the deal with Batman?
Can I say it again?
Yep.
You a DC guy?
Yeah, but like, in terms of like what
Are
I
you a
love
Snyder
is
cut, bro?
No. That movie hurts me.
Don't they all?
No.
From
but
him?
From him, yeah. Except Watchmen, that was pretty good.
Also DC.
No, like aside from maybe, I guess one of these other tattoos that we'll get to, the earliest thing that I latched onto that I loved was Batman. Batman the Animated Series came out
As a little kid.
Yeah.
Did you read the comics, or what first got you into it? The movies? Or
It was Batman the Animated Series. It came out when I was 3 years old, and then 2 years later, Batman Forever came out. I know, like, it's not good,
Is
whatever.
that the one
but
with Mark Hamill as the Joker, or is that totally
the animated
different?
series? It's Mark Hamill, yeah.
Okay.
And Kevin Conroy as Batman.
He's great. He's great as the.
But like you go back and look at that stuff, like the animated series, and like X-Men and Spider-Man, those all came out in the 90s, and they were like things that I really loved when I was a kid. But in terms of like rewatchability as an adult, there's so many mature themes in the animated series.
Yeah, you can rewatch Batman now and it still
Yeah.
holds up.
It holds up pretty well. I know like one of the best Batman movies is the Phantom.
The Mask of the Phantasm.
Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that
It's
Is it truly the best, or?
like it's hard because it's
animated
like,
one.
It's animated, but like the story is like unbelievable. Like Batman, they have him like there's things they couldn't do in the animated series, like kill people and stuff, or like people actually like die because it was a theatrical release. But it also has Batman dealing with like the fact that he met someone when he was just becoming Batman and fell in love with her, and basically begging his parents at their grave because he was so committed to being Batman to like let him live this life and like not be Batman so that he can be happy. So basically saying that like being Batman, like he's miserable, but he feels like he has to do it.
What a great kids movie.
Yeah.
Sad Batman. I never.
Batman
I
is
never
sad.
want to see.
He's only sad.
Oh, he's always sad. His parents. Yeah.
Always depressed.
Yeah. So Robert Pattinson, you excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's Robert Pattinson.
No.
There's another one. Rob
Pattinson?
Yeah. Anyway, there's a couple
Robert
ways you can take that one.
Pattinson?
He's got the jawline for sure.
He's a good actor as well.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Like
He used to
Twilight
just
didn't
be-
do him justice,
yeah.
but he is a good actor in his own.
Yeah. Do you have any Twilight tattoos?
No.
All right.
None that
Not-
we
not
can
yet.
see.
Sparkle, sparkle.
You have a full Pattinson back piece.
A Backinson.
So Mask of the Phantasm.
The Red Hood's pretty good as well.
Robert Pattinson. What's kind of maybe a underrated or gem or Batman related? Or I mean, everybody knows the animated series.
I don't think anything's underrated because he's so in the media. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows everything about Batman these days.
Yeah, it's like the ones that people mostly consider to be trash are trash, and the ones that it's like the Nolan movies obviously are great. Maybe the Dark Knight Rises I don't think is like
the third
as
one is
great
a
as
bit
the
of
other
a
ones,
mess.
and some people will debate you on that, but
But as a whole, pretty solid.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then comparatively to the
I'd
newer
say
stuff.
I'd say the first one of that series is underrated because
Batman
Begins.
Begins.
Yeah,
I
because
love that
Ledger
movie.
kind of stole the show in the second one.
Yeah. Well, it's like the only time you really get like they spend like half of that movie just like this is how he became Batman. It's not like Michael Keaton's Batman where it's just like, hey, look, it's a Batman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah, there's no Ninja Academy in
Yeah,
any
there's-
other.
That's what they should have called it, Batman Ninja Academy.
Yeah.
What about Batflick? Did you like him?
I like when
I
that
think he was the best part of that movie.
Yeah. When it was first announced, it was like I remember getting into arguments with people.
Batman can't be an alcoholic.
It was like, guys, everyone was like, it can't be Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck sucks. Like, bruh. But it was like, okay, he's going to be a great Batman. This isn't the problem. The problem is Zack Snyder is making this movie. So it's going to end up being like, here's a great Batman who was wasted. Not because Ben Affleck was wasted, but
I wanted to
Probably
do
was,
I wanted
but-
him to do his Goodwill Hunting accent for Batman.
oh, that'd be
That would've been
great. Because like he'd be like, I'm gonna go fight the Joker. It's like the Joker.
Joker.
He's down at the Harvard bar. I'm like, is he joking or is he jerking?
The Joker sounds like a horrible
Yeah.
Batman
If Batman
Alfred
grew
Carl
up in,
Rabin.
if Batman grew up in Massachusetts.
I do think that Ben Affleck was good as Batman, apart from maybe all the killing.
Yeah, that's my biggest
yeah.
problem for sure.
But then he's really good in Suicide Squad as Batman as well, when he just gets on the car and punches Harley
Yeah.
Quinn and stuff like that.
I-
It's pretty solid.
I hate that movie so much.
Yeah, it's a bad movie, but he's all right in it.
Yeah, Will Smith was kind of cringy in that one.
I love everything about that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all pretty cringe.
And it was all like that 70s, 80s like rock. It was like a soundtrack, the movie.
But never like applied in any
Right.
logical way. It was like, we spent a lot of movie on the soundtrack. Burp, burp, burp. Like every
Yeah, well, they were just emulating Guardians of the
and
Galaxy.
the villain that just like gyrated a little bit.
Oh yeah, and a big beam in the sky.
And her brother, whose name I don't think is ever like established, but he's supposed to be like one of the villains of the movie.
Harley Quinn's brother?
No, the
No.
Enchantress or whatever.
Oh,
the
right.
big demon-looking
Right.
thing.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Nobody needs to know about this film.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah. Next, you got a tattoo of 4 haired gentleman.
It's just your face 4 times, right?
Yeah, different. Like I change up like my facial hair and my hair a lot, so it's just like
So you can remember
different phases of me.
You go to the barber shop. You're like, I'll take the orange one.
Yeah. Is Billy actually the Smashing Pumpkins if Billy Corgan had hair?
All right, so it's Lennon.
Yep.
John Lennon, George.
Nope.
Ringo.
It's McCartney.
Paul McCartney.
Yep.
George.
Yep.
Harrison and Ringo last.
Yep.
Why'd you put Ringo last?
Well, it depends which way you go. You could have put in Ringo first.
True.
It's literally like it's the Sgt. Pepper like era. And it's like the colors are like the different Sgt. Pepper suits that they were wearing and the facial hair that they had at the time.
Got it.
And that's like the order that they were like sitting in and the
Color
picture
is
that it's
very
taken
good.
from.
Like the camera wouldn't pick it up, but the color is very
it
nice.
pops.
Yeah.
Pops.
It doesn't look like a tattoo. That's how good it
Yeah,
is.
some people are like, why did you draw on yourself?
Yeah.
But this was done like here in Yangzhou. They did
Just put
a
stickers
great
on
job.
yourself every day.
Yeah. Really committed to it.
What's up with the Beatles? They're good?
Yeah, and it's weird because I have like this like I don't know, you probably call it like a hipster mentality to like I don't like things that are like the best things or whatever, but like again
so you
like
hate
Batman.
good things.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you
Batman,
like good
Futurama, the
things.
Beatles.
I know, right? Like it doesn't really
Blade
add up
Runner,
at
Harry
all.
Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
The most mainstream thing.
doesn't add up at all. But Ravenclaw,
like
not Gryffindor.
Double irony.
Yeah.
So what's up? When did you fall in love with the Beatles?
Well, my dad pretty much established that like since I existed. Yeah, my dad.
Thanks,
like,
Dad.
Yeah, my dad grew up with the Beatles. He was like, he would have been like 10 or 11 years old when like they were on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time. And there's like, my parents have like pictures and videos of me with like a guitar that I don't know how to play, strumming along to like, the Beatles had these movies. One of them was called Help that I was like obsessed with, that I knew and still know like every line from. It was just like, there's them as like musicians, but they were also just so enjoyable as like 4 guys together. Like they could have, you know, had like a sitcom or something. They're just like, their personalities were
They gelled
enjoyable
really good. Best Beatles album off the top of your head?
I don't know, like
The greatest hits, right?
yeah. every
It's in the name.
yeah. I go through phases now where it's like I get just like obsessed with like a particular album. And it's like whatever I'm listening to a lot at the time. Right now it's probably Revolver.
How many just straight up studio albums did they have? Not many, right? I mean, not like. I mean, just like.
Hold on, like
not-
studio
not
albums.
like.
Give me a sec here. It's Please Please Me with the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, Beatles for Sale, Help, Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper. I guess Magical Mystery Tour doesn't count. The White Album, Let It Be, and Abbey Road, like 11.
Okay, and
That's quite a lot.
Yeah. In a span of 5, 6 years.
right, that's something that's kind of an underrated fact about them. They were super prolific in a short amount of time.
And they worked their fucking like asses off. Like they stopped touring in '66, but that 2 to 3 year build up was just like every day touring and doing shows and traveling and being like the only time they got free time was like in a bathroom like by themselves. It's like the only like alone time
That
they
would
got,
never
really.
happen now as well. Like stopping tours. That's
Yeah.
how musicians make most of their money these days. So they would
Well-
never do that now.
It was the greatest like decision they could have made in a way, because at the time, like if they stopped touring and then they did like Revolver, it's like you can't play those songs
Yeah.
live in 1966. The technology just wasn't there. So they probably would have made something that sounded like A Hard Day's Night again or something. Stopping touring allowed them to be in the studio and actually be creative.
Yeah. Playing music live is difficult sometimes if you're too experimental
Yeah.
and it's the 60s.
Yeah. You even listen to like a song like Nowhere Man that was on Rubber Soul, which is like 1965. And there's videos of them like playing it live, and you don't realize until you're watching them try to play it live how hard it would be, because it's one of the first songs that sounds like it's kind of drenched in pot, because that's what they were like. They met Bob Dylan at a party one time, and he thought that they had already been smoking a lot, and they hadn't, and he got them all baked for the first time. And
Oh wow!
Thanks, Obama.
thanks, Bob Dylan.
What's this? This is gonna make some good albums. What's do you blame Yoko at all?
No.
Do you hate Yoko?
I mean, you can't
Why do you hate Yoko?
you can't put it on Yoko and then think that John
I've just
is like
heard people
without
say that.
fault.
I don't know.
I don't mean you personally. I just mean for other people. Like, you can't say that Yoko like broke up the Beatles because John was the one who
I mean, he chose
brought
to be in a
her
relationship
in
and
and chose to like, allow her to come to the studio and allow her to have feedback and like.
I think
all
that's
that kind
kind
of
of like, I like John Lennon and the music, but I think he has such a God complex given
Yeah.
to him from other people
Mm.
that like ignore all the bad parts and blame everything else. Like the fact that he, probably had an unsavory woman beating habit or like alcoholism and all those things.
Yeah.
Then just blame Yoko. Don't blame him at all. It's
Yeah.
kind of,
I mean,
why would you do that?
His childhood is so like fucked up in so many ways.
Yeah.
It obviously doesn't like excuse any of the bad behavior that he exuded, but at the same time, like, he worked like really hard and Yoko helped him become a better person in the ways that he's like, I don't want to be that
And
guy
acid
anymore.
helped, sure.
Yeah, for sure. Expanded his mind a
Naked
little
in
bit.
bed, you don't need to get out and
Yeah.
I'll be a better person.
Yeah, they did the naked sit-in.
Yeah.
Was that
Uh,
Vietnam protest or?
Which I think so.
Which brings me to another, maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but I've heard or I've seen that some people think the CIA murdered him.
Oh,
Does that have any bearing?
I don't think so.
What would the purpose be? Why?
Just because
Well-
he was becoming too big in the States and he was very anti-war and it was the 60s.
They tried to have him deported a couple times, and he had to fight to stay in America. His phones were tapped and stuff like that. I still don't think that that's what happened to him.
It was
but-
just a crazy asshole fan.
Yeah.
Who he'd met like the day before or something.
It was like earlier in the day, Mark David Chapman or whatever asked him for, the guy who was obsessed with Catcher in the Rye, asked John for his autograph, I think, and then came back later and like some feet away from him, social distancing, got down on his knee and just like unloaded a clip into his back.
Damn, that is super crazy.
I mean, and then you have the whole the whole White Album issues with the Manson family, right?
Yeah, like Helter Skelter.
Yeah. Do you, I mean, being an ignorant Brit, all I know is that they wanted to start a race war. Is it just because it's called the White Album?
I don't think so. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's hard to, when a band is that big, especially when they were changing so much.
And
Like, every
dealing with
album sounded different.
dealing with so many themes.
Yeah. And everyone's looking for meaning in the songs, and, like, it has to mean something. Most of the time, John was just, like, fucking with people. And,
Right, they made this song
Yeah.
that was like purposefully just nonsense.
yeah, like Glass Onion.
There's
Like,
a
I told
few-
you
there's
about
a
Strawberry
few.
Fields, the place where nothing is real. And then
Yeah.
he just references a bunch of Paul songs throughout it, and he's like,
Yeah.
the walrus was Paul, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So ranked in order from most talent to least, where are we going?
Like with the four of them?
Yeah.
That's yikes.
Is it the tattoo order, or would George move?
Well, George is my favorite Beatle. I wouldn't say that he was the most, probably wouldn't say he was the most talented one, though. It's just the one that resonates with me the most.
Because he's a Ravenclaw.
I know, like, a lot of people, like, love Paul, but, like, Paul also gets, like, a lot of undeserved, like, shit. It's, like, people, like,
For being vegan or what?
for being alive,
Oh.
and because John's dead, you know, it's like
It's him and
John
Ringo
is
left,
seen
right?
in like a different. It's like he's so much better than Paul, and I resonate a lot more with John's songs than I do with Paul's a lot of the time, because John tended to, after around Rubber Soul, started to get a lot more honest. He wasn't just making like a song; he was singing about himself.
Mm-hmm.
But Ringo at the bottom, I guess, still a fantastic drummer though.
Did they have were they like a squabbly group? Did they have like, if there was like a behind the music, did they have a lot of drama between them four?
There was a behind the music. It was a documentary they had of them trying to make Let It Be. They were like really, really close, but they like, this is in their early 20s when they were touring and stuff. Like, they always had each other's back, The banter between them was always really good. But when you go from your early 20s with these group of guys, and then all of a sudden, like, women and wives and fame and, like, the ability to start a family, and you're all so talented that you can kind of do your own thing, you start to individualize a bit from the group. I mean, and it was always, like, inevitable that something was going to give, but the Let It Be documentary really shows, like, a lot of, like, John had started, like, doing heroin, like, with Yoko, so his, like, behavior is even more erratic, and he's even more of a dick than he already was.
At the end of the day, they're just humans.
Yeah, exactly.
They were put up on the pedestal, rightfully so. I mean, obviously, they were the biggest band in the world, right?
Yeah.
I like, as far as, like, there's, like, big pop singer like Michael Jackson, but, like, as a band, they've got to be the biggest band ever, right?
Yeah, especially, like, some people for America say, because right after John F. Kennedy was killed, the Beatles, like, made it big, and it was like America and the world kind of, like, needs this right now. America.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I don't know.
This was not on purpose.
Beatlemania was just like this whole, like, movement of, like, literally insanity, but also, like, hope for a lot of people.
Like, people would
something
cry
good in
when
the
they
world
just
that was
saw
big.
them. Like that level of
yeah.
celebrity.
And, like, thank you to those, like, crazy fans, because the noise and them not being able to hear themselves is one of the reasons they stopped touring, and then their music got more creative. So.
Got better, yeah. Like, definitely got better. What's your favorite either Beatles movie or movie based around the Beatles?
A Hard Day's Night is the best one, I would say. Like, but I've always had a soft spot for Help, because that's what I was watching when I was, like, 3 years old.
Did you watch the film? Came out last year, yesterday.
I did not like it.
You did not?
No.
What was the issue?
It's kind of just a cheesy premise.
It's very cheesy.
Yeah.
Is that it? Just cheesy?
Yeah, and then, like, they throw,
the
like,
guy was Indian,
Ed Sheeran in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They throw, like, Ed Sheeran in there, and there's, like, this one scene that just, like, pisses me off. And it's like they're deciding, like, who can write, like, a better song.
Oh, improvise a song.
Yeah, and then Ed Sheeran writes the song, and then the dude plays The Long and Winding Road, and Ed Sheeran's like, I've been waiting for someone come along to be, like, better than me. And it's like, oh, so you're saying in this movie to everyone right now that
no one is better than you.
You're the greatest fucking artist in the world.
Was he Ed Sheeran in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like,
what about Nowhere Boy?
I like Nowhere Boy.
Yeah.
Actually, I usually don't like, I can't remember his name right now.
Aaron
Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of him, like, as an actor, usually, but I haven't seen that movie in a long time either. But I remember liking it despite some of the obvious, like, we're gonna make this more dramatic moments. Like, he punches Paul in the face, which never happened, as much as John maybe would have wanted to from time to time. But
Across the Universe, is that
I
a thing?
love Across the Universe. Yeah.
It's basically like a long music video or something.
It's basically like a musical, yeah.
Musical, yeah.
But, like,
but they're not, like, in it, are they?
No.
It's just the music.
A couple of films were like that. They had a quota of films they had to meet, so they would, like, the Yellow Submarine as well. I don't think has anything to do with them much other than the songs.
No, they don't do the voices or anything
so
like
I
that.
think they just had a quota of films they had to meet, so they pumped these things out.
Yeah, and they were just, the first, like, A Hard Day's Night and Help were directed by Richard Lester, and then they were so, like, we can't do anything wrong by the time Magical Mystery Tour came around, and they did that themselves. Well, Paul mostly did that himself with the rest of their blessings, because they didn't really care, but that was pretty well a disaster.
Yeah.
Worst Beatles song?
What Goes On.
That was fast.
Yeah.
Which one's that?
It's a
Nobody knows.
Song,
it's terrible.
A song that they gave Ringo that they threw on Rubber Soul that just, like, isn't good. It's like, what goes on in your life? What goes on?
Yeah.
I saw you.
Just a little vapid.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
throwaway.
Like, yeah. It bugs me because, like, Rubber Soul is so nearly perfect, but then, like, it's just, what goes on? It's like, can we Nowhere Man, please? Anyway.
Best song?
I can't.
No?
There's no way.
Best 3?
Nope.
Okay.
I can barely do, like, best 3 albums. Like, I don't even know if I could do that, so.
Help. That's a song, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
That would be, like,
Next
definitely
tattoo.
up there,
Next
though.
tattoo.
Yeah.
What's this
the
smiling
Beatles.
cat looking at me? Or is it bear?
It's a bear.
It's a bear.
This is Radiohead. This is the music side of my tattoos, even though there's only 3 right now. But yeah, it's Radiohead.
Radiohead. Tom York.
Yep.
And
It's pronounced Thom.
Yorkie. Thom Yorkie.
Thom Yorkie.
Yeah.
Another British band.
Yeah.
What's
All
the deal?
British bands. Yeah.
All British bands on your arm.
Yeah.
What's the third one?
Genesis.
Genesis.
Phil Collins.
From
Oh, right.
from this one's from the Peter Gabriel era.
Peter Gabriel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Collins was on drums though.
It's so funny. Like, it's not funny, but like, Britain is like a relatively small country, so I feel like it's like so much easier to notice talent there, and like you can get more famous quicker there.
I don't know. Like at the same time too, like something about Britain has just always resonated with me in a weird way. Like even like my favorite type of humor is what people would call like British humor, like dry kind of like humor. It's just like even if I went through like top 10 bands, I'm pretty sure most of them would be British. Like David Bowie, who died on my birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you got a Bowie tattoo?
Yeah, where's
No,
the Bowie
I don't
tattoo?
I don't have a Bowie tattoo yet.
Just get a nice little thunderbolt going.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like. I was just about to say I'm not a big fan of like. Oh, all his album covers have his face on it, and I don't need a Bowie face. And I'm like, meanwhile, fucking idiot.
So you're a big music guy.
Yeah.
Big.
Sorry. Is this all the tattoos then, or are there any hidden ones?
I have like, this is like the nostalgia and things I enjoy arm so far, and this is like the music one, and then I just have like a Thai elephant that I got in Thailand last year.
Yeah.
So you don't have like a porn star leg, or
I'm not hiding anything else, no.
Okay, dope. Thai elephant just as like a tourist, remember the time.
Yeah, I just wanted to get like. I remember always saying like I'm not gonna get a tattoo that doesn't like really mean something to me, but it was just kind of like
you hate elephants. Or
I want like I know I'm not
It's
gonna
made
be
of
like
real ivory.
traveling around and working in Asia my whole life, and it's just kind of like.
But it's strange
one
that you
of
didn't go
those,
for
like-
something Chinese based then, but you went for Thai based.
Yeah,
you could put a dragon on the other side or something.
I don't know. It was just like all the Beatles tattoo and Bender and the Blade Runner tattoo were all done in China.
Okay.
So it was more of just like something from Asia that resonated with me, less than like it had to be China. It's like I already have like almost half of my tattoos were
In China.
yeah put on me in China. So
Nice. So what? You like music? You are a musician, as we know from your Twitter bio. When did you start to get good at guitar? High school?
I don't even know if I am good at guitar. It's like
You're good.
It's not like
I mean, you're okay.
I can't do like leads or anything
You
like
know
that.
Ringo.
I really learned guitar so that I could
Get chicks.
sing songs that I
Beatles
like,
songs,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
write something to ideas I had in my head for songs I wanted to write. It's always been rhythm guitar, like play the chords, write the song, sing the song.
But you can sing and play at the same time, which is like, usually there's the guy at the party who just plays a song.
Here's Wonderwall.
Yeah, but you actually you're the full package. So you learn guitar to get chicks. So
I've never heard you call another
saying.
man the full package before.
the whole package. You're a package of stuff.
You're several small packages together.
Yeah. So how many bands have you been in?
Well, there's, I don't know. I tried. Usually, for the most part, I find that I just kind of enjoy writing on my own. But
You like the creative control.
but I do. There's a band back home, and it's basically just me and my dad and my uncles. It's like my dad's side of the family is like
A
the
literal
music
family
one.
band.
Yeah. And like they started playing together, the three brothers, my Uncle Jim, my Uncle Mike, and my dad. And had
Shout out to the
probably
Yes.
the uncles.
Uncle Jim and Mike, like those are the
They're
best
uncle names.
Yeah.
They're
ever.
definitely uncle
Yeah.
names.
and my dad Mark. Mark, Jim, and Mike. But my uncle has a recording studio. He doesn't just like play drums. He like can, you can go and like record a song. Magnetic Field Studios. And
Shout out.
like it's nice to, you don't just like jam together, but it's like, hey, we have a song idea, and it sounds like you can literally go and like make an album or like make some songs. And they've been playing together since being brothers, since probably the 70s. And there's a lot of songs they did like even like in the 80s and stuff that are like really good. And I remember being confused when I was a kid. Like, it was a choice. I was like, Dad, why weren't you guys like famous? Because your music's good. Because I didn't understand
Just be
that
famous,
like
Dad.
that like I thought as a kid that it was like, well, if you're good, then you're famous.
If only he grew up in Britain.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that is like the key. And then just throw like an accent on some of the songs. Like,
Did you ever sing your like dad's and uncle's songs in mixed company with people who weren't aware of their music?
all the time, yeah.
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 And were you surprised that people didn't know what those songs were?
No, not so much.
Okay.
But I still do that.
Have you ever covered one of their
Sometimes.
songs?
Yes, and I actually have an interesting story for Spencer.
Oh no. Wait, what?
You know,
He's the whole
Drive Me Crazy.
Nothing interesting on this.
You know, Drive Me
podcast.
Crazy.
Yes.
Like, why do people on the highway
Yes,
always
yes.
look back at me?
No
I didn't
way.
write that song.
No way.
My dad wrote
That was gonna
song.
be a question for you.
That is a Mark Farrell original.
It's amazing, and it's changed
was-
many lives.
Yeah, I've told him a couple times now. I'm like,
Julia's.
I don't know if he
obsessed.
like believes me either. I'm like, Dad, like, people love your song, like Drive Me Crazy, and like I play it like all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like that's
It's incredible.
and like so that's part of Mitch Cram. Sorry, I didn't think I said that yet. The name of the band is Mitch Cram, which is my dad and my uncle's name backwards. It's Mark Jim backwards.
Mitch Cram?
Mitch Cram, like MIJKRAM. But I started playing with them for a while, and now it's kind of just like me, my dad, and my uncle Jim. If we do play, so that's become and our friend Sean, and that's mostly become most days.
Is your
That's
friend
the name of
Sean
that.
the Ringo of the band?
No, he's a
Because the way you threw him
Very,
out there was
very-
like, oh, and Sean.
no. He's a very talented like actual like lead guitarist, and he's
Okay.
played bass on some of my songs. And like, I'll be like, I don't know if this like song needs bass, and then he'll do like bass on it, and I'm like, why didn't I think this needed to be here? Because it like I'll like
Mid-cram.
listen to the song now like that he plays bass on, and like listen for the bass. Like, it's, you know how like I don't know, as like a musician thing, or just people who like really have an ear for music, is little parts of songs, like subtle things that like make this, like you listen for it every time you listen to
Yeah.
that song.
Just like a half-second little
Yeah,
thing.
like the
Just a trumpet sound
the
here or
number
something like
one
that.
example that I can think of is Ringo's drums in Ticket to Ride. Like, there's 3 major drum fills in it. There's like a tom fill, there's a snare fill, and the very last one, he literally just whacks the snare drum once. And every time I listen to that song, I wait for it. And if I'm on like my e-bike and I'm listening to it, I'll literally just like slap the handlebars. Like, it's so just
So it's like the opposite of In the Air Tonight drums. It's just one hit.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the
Yeah.
whole.
Well, that's probably what you're talking about. Your friend Sean there is probably why it's good to be in a band, because writing on your own, sometimes you will miss these little things
Yeah.
that you're not paying attention to, and having another pair of ears
Yeah.
will help you.
or just playing like acoustic guitar and singing or the piano. It's like there's less opportunities for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then you throw in like a bass or a lead guitar and drums, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh.
Yeah.
It's also like letting someone into, you have a concept of, oh, this song is about this. And it's like they don't have to understand what the song is about to contribute to what it means,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have you ever been the Ringo in a band?
Like the drummer?
I mean the Ringo.
No, not
the,
really.
the lesser of the band members that people usually forget.
No, it's like, in a weird way, it's like I know like a lot of people see me as like a pretty modest person, I guess. But at the same time, it's like
super fucking modest.
I
guys.
can't imagine like agreeing to be in a band and not being like a main contributor
Yeah.
of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you do music, right? You want to express yourself, tell your story, and all those things. Yeah. Next, Spencer.
Gotta express yourself.
Express VPN yourself.
Yes, we are sponsored by ExpressVPN.
We are not sponsored by ExpressVPN. For legal reasons, we can't just say we're sponsored.
We're sponsored by Hodgepodge, which is your band here.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, it's kind of more of a potpourri at this
Our
point.
current situation is like shit a little difficult.
But you had a band here. You got some gigs.
Yeah.
What's it like playing to a Chinese audience?
Terrible. For the most part, to be
Because
honest.
they're all on their phone or something.
Not really. It's like they'll sometimes like be like really into it, but the attention span is probably mostly like, hey, they're foreigners. That's interesting. And then
that goes away.
Yeah.
Like,
And then like if
The
they
language thing, maybe?
Yeah, because like
They
they'll be
request-
really into like Terry's, like the Chinese guy in our band, Terry.
Yeah.
Like he'll play Chinese songs and they'll like really be into it.
Yeah.
But it's not the same kind of culture. Like for, like, I don't know. Like you'll play a song and like you can see that they enjoyed the song that you played, but there's no like, yeah, and like like major applause or anything. They'll just be like,
golf clap.
yeah,
Photo and then move on.
And then they request Freebird way too much.
yeah.
Cool. So you made a band with why is it called Hodgepodge? Because it's like
There's
four people?
four of us in the band, each from like a different country. So Terry's Chinese local, from Canada. Tom is from America, and Dario's from Italy.
Got
But
it.
half the band is not.
Any,
in China
Shout
right
out to
now.
Dario.
Yeah,
Yes.
friend of the show. Did you ever put out any media for the band, or just kind of you just never got to that point?
Not so much, no. Like, it was just honestly nice to like whoever was paying attention or not paying attention to just like play live.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never really had that experience aside from like open mic nights back home in Canada. There wasn't a lot of opportunities for me to like play a gig in Canada so much.
Yeah, getting
Because
paid to play music.
Usually it's like, oh, you got to play like American Pie and like Piano Man on a fucking guitar. Songs that like I don't really feel like I want to play.
Guitar
I guess.
Man
On a piano.
Sing us a song, you're the guitar.
doesn't roll off
But-
the tongue.
Yeah, I don't like playing. I don't know, like,
Music.
hey, play. Yeah. Music.
You don't do requests. That's what you mean.
It depends, like, what they are. Like, I guess, like, if someone asked me to play
Nothing
like
mainstream.
Wonderwall,
Only
it's
the
like I want to
Beatles,
stab myself
Radiohead.
in the eyes,
Yeah.
like ears, I guess, but eyes, so I can't see the tabs to play it.
So why'd you come to China? Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Get out of my house.
I don't know. It's weird. When I first graduated from university when I was 23, I almost went to Korea, but then I was really interested in writing, so I went to journalism school. So I picked the top two things to go to school for that will get you like a really good job: political science and print journalism. And then when I finished college and I was 25, I went home for a couple years and worked at a record store that I loved. But it was like, man, like I went and got a university degree, and then I went to college. I spent 6 years of post-secondary education. And as much as I love this job at the record store, it's like I have to make a choice. It's like I can live with my parents and save a bit of money, but I can't pay my student loans. I can live on my own and save no money, and I still can't pay my student loans. And in neither of these scenarios can I travel. And I'm like getting closer to 30, and it's like I really wanted to like see more of the world. And if I stay here, I feel like I'm going to be stuck. So I went and got my TEFL one November in Toronto. Stayed with my sister like a few times to like get up and go to the classes and stuff. And then got here at April 2018 and was going to do it for a year and then go to a different country, and just kind of stayed because I liked it.
Yeah, and you can definitely save money here.
Yeah, it's like the Jake, who's one of my good friends that I worked with, who's currently in America trying to get back to China. It's like the big four is where usually you have to choose between a couple of these things if you're back home living in the West, like America or Canada. We're here working as like an ESL teacher in Yangzhou, China. It's like travel, living independently, saving money and paying off student loans. Like I can do all 4 of those without
and not
having
living with your parents.
Yeah, live independently.
Right. Oh, right.
That was number 2.
Whoops.
But yeah, you can kind of do all these things like without thinking about it, and like it's such a underrated thing to not have to worry about money all the time, which like
Big thing.
This did happen somewhat recently where you have to worry about money because of I wasn't here during a lot of this stuff and I wasn't working during this COVID situation, but it's just back home it's like choose one of those things, let alone have all 4.
Good stuff. Well, let's do a little recommendation section. You're a big movie guy, big music guy.
Yeah.
Let's start with movies. You got any movie recommendations? Maybe a little under the radar.
Can be new, can be old.
Something for people to watch while they're stuck at home. Or just a director or anything.
Nothing mainstream, like Harry Potter. Or
Well, the Witch. Okay. For something new that I actually really liked, excuse me, that came out 2020, because there's been a lot of things recently that got pulled out of movie theaters because people can't go, and they just got released on demand. So it's something that you can find on demand. And we were talking about Ben Affleck earlier. It's a movie called The Way Back.
Is it the basketball coach movie?
It's like
it is good.
It is really good.
It looked like a Lifetime.
The reason why it's good is Ben Affleck, surprisingly enough. He's channeling his own demons with like alcoholism in the movie.
Is he an alcoholic in the movie?
Yeah, like a severe alcoholic in the movie. And
but good at basketball.
Well, he used to be good at basketball. Then he like coaches like this high school team.
He's an old man now. They couldn't make that film.
Oh, right.
They just like CGI because they really needed it to be Ben Affleck.
It's a Michael Jordan biopic played by Ben Affleck.
Yeah, but it's really good mostly because of his performance, because he's channeling it from a very personal place.
The Way Back.
Yeah, The Way Back.
I mean, I think Ben Affleck's good in most of the things he's done.
I like Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Actually,
yeah.
There's
Gone
only
Girl was one of my favorite films when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
And he directed that.
Argo.
Yeah, Argo as well. That's really good.
He's only had a few swing and misses. Daredevil was
early in his career.
I mean,
as well.
he had
Nothing
rebuilt
recent.
like his career from a lot of shame.
Yeah.
And like he was directing. He won an Oscar for Argo. He did Gone Baby Gone. That was really good. He did The Town.
Yeah.
Like, he was getting critical acclaim for everything.
Gone
he
Baby
did.
Gone is
And
great.
then he did Batman.
And then he did Batman, and that's why that notorious like "Hello Darkness, my old friend" like video of him just staring off into the abyss is like, what have I done?
Yeah. Because that's a whole can of worms. As for like how they could have made that into a better franchise, but they got snidered.
So, but on the recommendation, what would you say is your nerdiest recommendation? Could be a comic or something nerd related. Something
Harry Potter.
Like not a movie, just
It could be a movie. It can be anything that you would say is probably excessively nerdy for some random person.
That's a tough one. Buffy and Angel.
Okay. Calling back to the old.
Basically anything that like Joss Whedon did TV show wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch Dollhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how would you rank that? No, it's good.
Like
Firefly.
Why was Buffy so
fucking
good?
love
I
Firefly.
never got into Buffy.
Dr. Horrible sing along blog.
Yeah.
What was the appeal of Buffy?
It's just like
she's a witch.
No,
she's a vampire slayer.
It's
Buffy
in
the
name.
Vampire Slayer.
She's a witch.
Buffy the Witch.
Slayer.
But then she still wouldn't be a witch.
So she killed vampires.
Yeah.
And it's like every episode there's a new bigger vampire.
Not
or it's
really,
more
but that's like
drama
why it was
based?
good. It's like they told like a lot of different stories, and like Joss Whedon was really good at like
Great writer.
character development and like
It's where he honed that character dialogue of snappy
it's like
comebacks.
if you look at what a lot of people love about what Marvel movies are now, it's like the Avengers movie that was written and directed by him.
Yeah.
It's like some of that like quippy but not too much thing is like what he started
He found
with
the
like
sweet
Buffy.
spot.
It's like it's humorous, but it can still like all of a sudden turn around and be very serious.
Yeah.
In the same episode
It's
sometimes.
a good mix, yeah.
Do they hold up? Have you watched them recently?
The first season, not so much. And the problem with some older TV shows is that they're 40 minutes long and 26 episodes a season. So there's like 7 seasons of Buffy and 5 seasons of Angel, but by today's standards, that's like 14 seasons and 10 seasons.
Yeah, it's like a million
because like
hours.
you would never do 26 episodes.
That's like
of
unheard of in Britain.
unless it's like a,
like
a
more
CW
than
show.
6 episodes.
And then they fall into like the same trap of like, the problem with it is like some episodes are filler and some episodes like aren't as good, but the ones that are good and follow like the arc of the season are always really, really good.
I can't say that I ever finished Angel, because Angel was more of the adult version that I never really got to because it was on late at night in the UK.
Yeah, the last season is like the best season.
Really?
Because they changed like the whole scenario where they're in like, there's this evil law firm that like specializes in demons and stuff. Wolf, Ram, and Hart, like Wolf, Ram, and Hart. That they thanks. that they have been dealing with like throughout like the entire series, and then they start working for that company to try and change things from the inside in the 5th season. And it's such a good concept the way it plays out that you wish that had kind of been like its own thing for a couple seasons, but it's only 1 season, but it's the best season of the show for sure.
Did Joss Whedon do Cabin in the Woods?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, because that's
with Chris Hemsworth, one of Chris Hemsworth's first.
That's got a whole story about how it was held and delayed for a long time, because
Yeah.
that should have come out way before Avengers, I believe. Like,
yeah,
Super creative take on horror.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and like great, like again, like it has serious moments, but it's also funny, and like. Yeah.
And you don't expect anything that's happening.
The scene
No.
when they come out of the elevator, all this stuff comes out of the elevator. That's one of the best shots ever.
I still just love like it's the stoner guy. He's also in Dollhouse, like the skinny guy with the long hair who could like he looks like he could play like the Scarecrow in a Batman movie.
Yeah,
it's like there's that really rednecky guy they run into at the gas station, and he has like that interaction with him, and he's like they're asking. I can't remember like. I hate that I can't remember this right now, but he makes some quip about like, here the railroad's coming through here, like any day now, like dick, or like he just calls him like a dick or whatever. But anyway.
Well, thanks for coming on, Kevin.
Oh, thank you.
Bye. No, so you wrecked a good movie, The Way Back, Buffy, Angel.
well, basically Joss Whedon is what he recommended.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Any random music or albums you've been listening to, under the radar stuff? Porcupine Tree.
Yeah. Stephen Wilson in general, the dude like he had
Is
Porcupine
he
Tree that was
in relation with Brian Wilson?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Hard no.
He's famous for like producing as much as he is for like his own stuff. Like he's done all the remasters for like Yes and Jethro Tull and King Crimson.
Okay.
And he's done like Opeth albums too. He just has like an ear.
So he
for sound.
made his name producing.
Not so much. Like it was kind of happening all like at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But Porcupine Tree started with just it. It basically was just him. He just didn't call it Stephen Wilson at the time. But even like when he formed like band members, he still wrote and like played 50% of the instruments.
What
and stuff
genre
like
we
that.
talking?
Like prog rock, more recently. Like
should have
art
known
rock,
with the
I
Yes
guess.
and
Yeah.
Crimson.
But now he just kind of does like solo stuff. But recommendation wise, like if say like pick a Porcupine Tree album, Deadwing, and then for his solo stuff, The Raven That Refused to Sing, if you want to cry.
Cool. I love crying.
Me too. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I watched Forrest Gump the other day just so I could cry.
Hate that film.
That movie does not
I hate
hold
it so
up
much.
that well.
We've had this conversation.
Some
I
of
hate
the
it
like
so much.
there's
Really?
a
You
scene
hate
where
it?
Yeah.
there's a scene where John Lennon's like talking and like the
Yeah.
animation for the mouth is like, oh god.
I thought it was fine. I didn't really
Lieutenant
watch it
Dan
the other day.
Askren.
But I mean, I remember when I first watched it, I was like, yeah, this is a good movie.
I would honestly say it's Tom
You
Hanks'
hate-
worst movie.
You hate retarded people?
Oh,
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean by saying that.
Well, we're getting canceled tomorrow.
who directed that movie again? I can't remember.
Zemeckis?
Was it?
Robert
Yeah, it
Zemeckis?
was. Shit.
Wow.
Back to the
I think.
Gump.
All right, let's go back to Canada real quick.
Sure.
Then we'll do a little speed round. Pros and cons of being Canadian or just Canada. Good things, bad things. Hockey, good.
Yeah, hockey, good. The ability to, like, as a millennial, I guess, like, live there and have a decent living based on, like, going to university, bad.
So it's a kind of a struggle.
In the same way that it probably is for a lot of Americans.
Is that a money thing, or what's the?
Well,
bad
it's like
part?
you go into debt before you know what debt is to get a university education because you can't pay for it because it's $1 million fucking dollars. But everyone told you that you have to go to university and then you get a job and then you graduate and they're like, well, we can hire you, but what's your experience? It's like, I have a university degree. I don't have experience. I need you to give me experience. And they're like, no, well, go and do this internship that we won't pay you for.
Yeah.
You owe the government
22.
money because you have all these student loans. And
What are those student loan repayments like? Are they like as soon as you graduate, they're knocking on your door, or?
it keeps changing. It's kind of like you start paying them when you make a certain amount of money, or if you get like a job in your field.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
That's the same as
But
UK, yeah.
if you go and work abroad, like I did, you have to start paying them back.
Oh, really?
Like then it's like, but at the same time, like if I wasn't paying them when I was working at the record store, it's like it's not helping the interest anything by like not paying for them.
Yeah.
So it's been nice being here the last like almost exactly 2 years. 2 years next week. Just every month, just slowly eating away.
Yeah.
At it instead of being like 50 and it's still something that I have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's just being a millennial.
But I had to not
more
be in
than
Canada to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And the real estate is pretty expensive too, right? Like just living.
Yeah. My sister basically, like, she lives in Toronto and she probably plays close to in Canadian dollars what I pay in RMB for my apartment. And my apartment's
But you
shitty.
get that free health care.
Yeah, well, there's like
That's pretty cool.
catch-22 to that too.
What's
Which
the
is?
Well,
catch?
like, for example, where my parents currently live, so like where I go when I'm home, Kitchener, Ontario, or Cambridge, Ontario, either one. Your family doctor is basically a walk-in clinic. I don't know why it's not just a walk-in clinic. It's like, oh, I have this doctor, but when you go, it's like you don't make an appointment. You just go and you like wait until like someone's available. And a lot of like major things that people need like attention for, like mental health issues and stuff, it's like, well, we can get you that help and you won't really necessarily have to pay for it, but you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
It's like,
So you wait, but it's
you
free.
wait. Yeah.
That sounds almost exactly like the UK. The UK is notorious for underfunding the NHS, the National Health Service,
Yeah.
and then you have to wait months if you have an
Yeah.
operation or something like that.
Well, it's like I have this. It's weird. Like I had this benign tumor thing on my finger when I was a kid, and I remember like having it, and then I had to like wait a while, and then they like took it out. And right now I have like a very similar thing on the side of my rib cage. It's called like a lipoma. It's just like a fatty, benign, massive crap. And
That's my nickname.
fatty, massive crap.
Crap, yeah.
And then
Benign.
poop spaghetti over here. But and here in China, like I can get it like taken care of like really easily. My mom's like, oh no, you should like
And
go
pretty
home
cheap.
and get it like taken out or whatever. It's like, yeah, but like if I just choose, I mean, the situation right now is different.
Yeah.
Say before
When this
the
situation was happening,
coronavirus
yeah.
situation, I literally could just message welfare and be like, hey, like next week I want them to go take it out, and then I'll go and they'll take it out and I'll be off work for a day and then I'll go back to work. Where like in Canada they'd be like, well, how is like next February at 2:00 sound to you?
You're like,
And
no,
then
I
by
gotta
then,
do something
by
that
then it's
day.
like 3 times as big, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like an emergency or anything, but it's like the difference between like being uncomfortable trying to sleep on my side or something versus like, well, you just go and they do it, and it's
pretty
like
cheap
1,000
too,
kwai
and
or
fast.
something, you know.
They get you in and out. Cool. Any other Canada notes? Good, bad, ugly?
Tim Hortons, man, I miss that shit.
Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Is the coffee good or is the donuts?
Yeah, There's been a theory for
we
a
had
long
Johan
time
on
that
before, and he was not a fan.
yeah, I can see. Johan and I have talked about this. I lived with him for a bit. Yeah, Tim Hortons coffee is. A lot of people think that they put like nicotine in it or something because it's just like it's addictive.
To make it addicting.
But it's. I love it, and I love like Tim Hortons bagels and like dipping them in like cream of broccoli soup and stuff like that.
So it's also got food and like a menu.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been personally.
So you'd recommend it for a tourist?
I would, yeah.
There's one in China? No.
Yeah, in Shanghai.
In Shanghai,
yeah.
It's like it's one of those things where it's like it's a stereotype about Canadians, but like you cannot go like you land at Pearson Airport in Toronto and you just like half the people that are walking around have a Tim Hortons cup. It is part of who we are.
It's the Starbucks of Canada.
And yes, it's a corporation that is now owned by like Americans or whatever, but it's still it's Canadian as hockey.
Is Tim Horton a man?
He was a hockey player. He was a hockey player.
Is he a male human?
Excuse me, sir. Are you a man?
He died in a car crash in Niagara Falls.
Oh wow!
What was he driving
like
in the
a long time ago,
waterfall?
or
I don't know. Yeah, like in I don't want to 70s or something like that.
oh wow! Okay.
So they named the restaurant after him.
he didn't
or he
start.
started.
Or he had started it and then died. I can't remember.
Okay.
Okay. Real big fan.
We're
Let's
gonna
see.
say they named it after him.
Yeah.
That's an exclusive.
Timothy Hortons. Good stuff. Tim Hortons.
And
Hockey.
yeah, the Canadian like niceness is also another stereotype that is pretty true. I feel like half of my manners came from like my mom being like my dad always worked 7 days a week. My mom was always home with us, and like she was always like any of like the positive values that I have as a person probably came from her in terms of being
Shout out
nice.
Kevin's mom.
Shout out Kevin's
What's
mom.
her name?
Sandy Farrell.
Sandy Farrell.
And but like at the same time, like you would go to like a Tim Hortons or something, everyone's like, "Oh no, after you, eh?" Like
Yeah.
you know, like, "Oh no, like I'll get your coffee," and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's part of
It's
it
a
is like
beautiful
yes,
thing.
like it comes from like my mom, but it also it's like
You
It's
just
the culture.
in that
nature
culture.
versus nurture,
Yeah.
but like the nurture part of it was like the society in general.
You hear it all
Not
the
just
time.
like your home, you
Yeah.
know.
It's just a natural
Yeah.
instinct, right?
So if somebody's being rude, it's like a clutch your pearls moment.
Yeah, like if someone's like someone gets punched in the face, like you probably had it coming,
Yeah.
or like you,
Or you just supported the opposite hockey team.
yeah,
You didn't,
yeah, or you're a Montreal Canadiens fan or something,
didn't say
you know.
please.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
you speak French. then.
Sacre bleu.
They go nuts for the hockey. I remember the Canucks lost the
They almost burned
Stanley
Vancouver to the
Cup.
ground.
They lost the Stanley Cup final, and
They
it
were
was
up
like
3
Godzilla
games
went,
to 1.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
there's a famous picture from that with like this. There's cars and shit on fire, and there's just like this couple like making out on the ground. It's like this is very Canadian right now. It's like we're burning it to the ground because hockey, but also like I love you.
Yeah. That's Renaissance right there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Let's do some quick fire.
Let's do a little speed round, okay?
sure.
These are all questions that I've thought about a lot.
That's not true.
What do you think about hot air balloons?
I would love to try it sometime.
But doesn't it freak you out a little bit?
No.
The
Would you-
fire?
Would you
No.
bungee jump out of a hot air balloon?
Would
I
you
don't-
bungee jump
would it
into
not-
a hot air balloon?
Bungee jumping out of a hot air balloon, would it not like? Because the balloon's very light. Would it not like?
I mean, it's not that light. It holds a heavy wicker basket.
I don't know. There's not a lot of things.
How
that I-
heavy do you think
What's
you
with
are?
the wicker?
There's not a lot of things that I wouldn't do in that.
Bungee jump out of?
Like skydiving, the one time I skydived is like one of my fondest memories of a day in my entire life.
It's quite a rush.
It's so much fun.
Do you hit like terminal velocity? Do you feel it like whenever you,
I don't like
or it's just like a?
the hardest thing I remember was like you're supposed to try and like not like look down and like stay like this or whatever, but like I think I like fucked that up because the guy, the instructor on my back was like,
Stop looking down.
yeah, you gotta like up more, but it
Relax.
didn't really matter. Yeah,
Yeah, that's incredible. Do you have any footage of that?
This is quick fire.
somewhere. Yeah.
Oh, right. What's more likely, ghosts or aliens being real?
Aliens.
All right, that's an easy one.
Yeah. What about ghosts of aliens?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It's just like how many you learn about different solar systems, different galaxies and stuff all the time. It's like
surely there's got to be a ghost in one of them.
There's no way this is it, you know.
Yeah, sure. I'm
a bigger fan of humans than some people are, but like not to be like we're the best and we're the only greatest thing.
If aliens came to Earth, they would definitely go to Canada.
Yeah, it's like George Carlin also was always like
Hawaii.
Maybe aliens have showed up, but they were probably just like nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Strip clubs, yes or no?
In Canada, yeah.
They seem to be super popular in Canada.
Well, because in Canada, like,
but it's so
you
cold.
see
there.
everything.
They've got more clothes to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes them a while.
Yeah.
And here comes Amber in her North Face jacket. Tall guys, are they the worst?
Depends on the tall guy.
It's all relative. How tall are you?
5'11", 5'10 and a half, maybe. Not even 5'11".
Pretty tall to me.
It's pretty tall.
One
It's
asshole.
not very tall.
You're the worst.
You are the worst.
One of my best friends back home is like 6'5", 6'6".
Does he have good stories?
I mean, like he's 30, and he already has like severe knee problems. So
Okay, so
just from being tall, and some roller coasters and going to like, there's Cedar Point and like famous, Six Flags and stuff in America. In Canada, we had Canada's Wonderland in Toronto, and there was like, you can't go on this ride. You're too tall.
too
and I'm
tall
like,
for that.
Wow.
fucker, I want to go on that ride.
Wow.
That's a problem.
Cool.
He sounds like the worst.
Yeah.
And he's a good guy.
He's Canadian.
Love you, Paul.
Amish people, are they onto something?
Well, as Robin Williams said, if you're ever in Amish country and you see a man with his hand buried in a horse's ass, that's a mechanic.
That's a good one. Shout out Robin Williams
Rest
and
in
Zelda.
peace.
Are there Amish people in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't know if they left Pennsylvania or
What?
what.
I don't know. There's a lot of space in Canada. There's a lot of places that you could like stick some Amish
Farmland,
folk.
yeah.
People with rigid belief systems. Good or not?
I mean,
Rigid beliefs.
to each his own up until you try and like make it about me in some way.
Do you really believe that rigidly?
I knew where you were going with it. I was
No.
about to ask the same question.
I am not like
How firm is that belief?
the one thing that I am firm in is that I am not firm in a lot of things.
Super deep. All right, we used it. This is a groundbreaking moment. Deforestation or reforestation?
Whoa.
Reforestation.
Yeah, that's a trick question.
Right. But somebody's got to make those tables and chairs,
We have
Do they?
plastic.
benches.
We got plastic, we got metal. We got enough wood to make more tables.
I say fuck the forests.
Damn.
All right, for a first date, you got to wear one. Cowboy hat or fedora?
Or
Depends which part of Canada I'm in.
a baseball cap, but backwards.
All right, so cowboy hat or fedora. If I'm in Western Canada, cowboy hat. If I'm in anywhere else in Canada, fedora.
You could pull off a fedora.
I have one.
You got a fedora
I don't wear it, but I have one.
thing
I don't wear it
about
often,
you.
but I have one.
Would you
You're
match?
calling me a hipster, I get it.
Would you match
No.
the outfit to the hat, or would it just be like what you're wearing now plus a fedora? Or
I mean, like, it would have to work in some way. It couldn't just be like
Trench
a bright
coat,
yellow fedora and then
samurai
you're just wearing
sword.
nothing else that matches it. But yeah. Speaking of which, this is like to bring Janice into this very briefly.
shout out to Janice.
We don't
Janice.
argue very often, but when we do, it's about color. What color are my
Rape.
pants?
Oh.
Maroon? Red?
Fuck. Are you kidding me? They're not they're not red.
Brown?
They're orange rusty.
I would say
they're
rust.
rusty.
I'd give you rust.
Yeah, like brown, orangey.
Yeah.
Those are maroon.
I don't think there's
They're
any
not
red in
maroon.
these
There's
pants.
I don't see any red either.
Seeing that again, we're both.
Maybe it's like that dress
This
thing.
is maroon. Your hat's maroon.
No, that's like burgundy.
Oh, shut up.
Janice is like,
Yeah. Well, you got her back and he's got my back, so not resolved. Anyway,
shout out Janice. We love you. She probably turned this off long ago.
Yeah.
All right. Who could get away with the most in Canada, like trouble-wise? Who's the most revered Canadian or non-Canadian?
A
I guess.
person?
Yeah, a famous celebrity who could get away with
If
the
they
most.
if they had a scandal or something.
Who's the most beloved?
Ooh.
Besides, you can't say Gretzky.
I wouldn't. Anyway. Fuck, I don't know. Like the Chris Hadfield, the astronaut.
Okay. He's got the mustache. That guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or John Chrétien, 'cause he already
Who's that?
choked a guy when he was prime minister and nobody really cared.
Oh, is the
He's
ex-prime
like
minister?
the Quebec ex-prime minister who always talked out of the side of his face. I'm John Chrétien.
Okay.
I mean, Trudeau's had a few controversies recently as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Blackface and
even
stuff.
personally,
Brown face.
I
Brown
was
face.
really supportive of him when he first got elected, and I mean this current situation, I feel like he's handled it very well, but I don't feel like he's done an awful lot. I wouldn't say that he can get away with whatever, because even personally, I don't know if I'd vote for him again.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's pretty hot.
Quick fire. That's what you want to end that point on.
Would you rather be Spider-Man or a spiteful man?
I mean, I was Spider-Man for Halloween, and I don't know, spite
Every other
spite
day.
has its uses.
Every other
You've seen
day you were
Seinfeld. Why are you returning the shirt? Spite.
All right. They're not all zingers. What celebrity is most likely an alien?
Donald Trump.
Ooh, good one.
It's pretty good.
What Canadian is most likely an alien?
No Gretzky rule.
Fuck, I don't know.
What was the guy, Robert Ford?
Don Cherry, because he's a dick.
Oh.
So anyone you don't like is just an alien.
Yeah.
Right?
If I don't see how there is no evidence that you're human in any way, in terms of if you do ever do
Morality.
anything nice, you can see the sinister motive or
Yeah.
selfish motive behind it, you don't have a soul,
Okay.
then maybe you're not a human.
Do you believe in a soul?
Yeah.
And aliens don't have them.
No.
Okay.
Well, they probably do, but it's not a well thought out.
A resident
process.
alien expert on the show today. Big NASCAR fan. Scientology or geology?
Geology.
That rocks.
It's almost like you knew how I was going to answer that. What if I said Scientology?
Sing of a
What's
book.
your clip for that one?
Xenophobia?
Phobia?
Yes, thank you for finishing that. You can Tom Cruise your way out of here.
You
He's
John Travolta me?
There we go. Lee?
No, I'm good.
Get in the L. Ron
Now
cover.
this is red.
That's very
Yes,
red.
This
Yeah.
is very red. Yes.
I'm good at colors. Better suicide, T-shirt cannon, or jumping into the Grand Canyon with old-timey roller skates?
Absolutely the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. What a view. That's
Yeah.
You've got a good 2 minutes before you're dead. And
Yeah.
That's a lot of viewing.
Have you been to the Grand Canyon?
Yeah. I want to go back ever since they put in that glass thing. You can
Yeah.
walk out and look down.
How far does it go out? Do you know? Is it like a pier kind
yeah,
of thing?
it's I don't know,
No.
feet, but
Okay.
a ways.
Yeah. Enough.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
look down.
Yep.
Flight attendant or bathroom attendant?
Ooh.
Flight attendant.
Why would you choose the other?
Some people have air sickness or whatever.
Fair.
Altitude? No.
Definitely not.
No.
Cabin pressure?
You're just saying things.
Words. These are
So we may
words.
experience some cabin pressure. Roof flies off.
In the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go bathroom. You get free cologne.
the whole
Not in
package.
not in this age we're currently living in.
That's
It's
true.
the whole package.
Not working in a fucking bathroom.
The concept of infinity, frightening or pretty cool?
in applied to what? Just in
infinity.
general. I like it.
Just the concept.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Cool. Lee?
I'm ambivalent to infinity.
and beyond.
That sounds like Kevin's new record.
Ambivalent to infinity.
That's a good album.
Break out that fedora.
Oh, it's a country album. You need the cowboy hat.
Denim, just denim.
On the culture scale from 1 to 10, where does saying Americano stand? So 10 is
Like in terms of like,
cultural.
you talking about coffee or just
saying the word at Starbucks?
culture?
Are you cultured if you say Americano?
Do you know why they call it an Americano?
Because it's just water and coffee?
I'm gonna put it at a 5 because I don't care.
I think it was in Cuba. The GIs in Cuba would order an espresso but add extra water, so it was named after the Americans because they couldn't handle strong
do you
coffee.
drink?
Actually, that might be China's new policy, like America. No.
Americano.
Yeah. No.
So in the UK, do you drink just brewed?
We call them black coffees.
Okay. But
Unless you're in a Starbucks. Starbucks is like the only place you'll call it
Yeah.
Americano.
Same thing in Canada. It's like just black coffee.
right, I went to just a random like diner in America, and I'm so used to saying it at Starbucks here. that I told the lady, I was like, "Can I have an Americano?" and she's like, "What?" And it took me like 30 seconds, and I was just like, "Oh, just a coffee. Just give me a coffee."
When you buy a coffee in America, they just come black, right? And you have to get cream. Is it cream that they give you?
They'll ask you like cream or sugar. And
Well, but cream
to you on the
not
side.
Or like, do you want room?
There's half and half. There's milk. There's cream. There's a bunch of different stuff you can get.
Cream.
What is anime?
It's rad.
Something that I'm not that interested in outside of like Studio Ghibli and Akira and
But what is anime? What is it?
Japanese cartoons.
Good job.
Nailed it.
That was a test. Would you rather be named Big Tony or Little Steve?
Little Steve.
Little Steve?
Yeah.
You hate big people?
I don't know.
They're the worst.
Tall guys. Tall women, fine.
I feel like I get really sick if you're like, hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
Tony as a name doesn't match up to Steve, I think.
Bring out the poop spaghetti.
Little Steve is great. New nickname. All right. What's your favorite scene in Lincoln?
Credits.
Nice.
Not a fan? I can't
It's like,
really remember it.
I love historical movies, and like Daniel Day-Lewis's performance is great, but like
I couldn't tell you
something,
a scene
man.
in the whole
like,
movie.
Give me something. Like it was just
I never saw it.
boring.
You never
as
saw it?
fuck.
No.
I can't remember seeing it.
I would never be in the mood to watch that.
And like the one scene, like they literally had to try and make the voting exciting by like naming out who like voted for what, which wasn't like a thing that they ever did. So like one of the most exciting parts of the biography movie was something that wasn't
Fake.
historically accurate.
Yeah.
All right. Watch the movie Boyhood or jump into a pit full of spiders?
Watch the movie Boyhood.
That's the wrong answer.
You hate spiders? Or you like spiders? Or wait, you like Boyhood? What?
I appreciate that movie.
It took 12 years.
Yeah.
That's the only... It's a gimmick. And the boy wasn't even a good actor.
But they couldn't know that.
It's a gamble.
But they also had a really cool scene about him like talking about the Beatles with the son and giving him a mixtape.
So now we...
I remember more
now
about
we know
Boyhood than
you-
I remember about Lincoln. That's what I'll say.
That's a fair comment.
Richard Linklater, he's got some good stuff.
Before movies? Fuck yeah.
The what?
The before movies? Before sunrise, before sunset, before midnight.
Oh, I don't even know those.
Ethan Hawke and Julie.
I just
Depp
know
were
the-
literally conversation.
I just know
movies.
those
Yeah.
rotoscope.
To walk around and talk.
He did that rotoscope, 2 of them, right? Waking Life.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
And Scanner Darkly.
Scanner
Darkly,
Darkly, yeah.
Cool. Would you rather be a edgy youth pastor with highlighted hair or be a mall Santa?
With what hair, did you say?
Like highlights.
Oh, like colored.
Like blonde.
I had frosted
highlights.
tips when I was a
Frosted
kid
tips.
briefly.
Nice.
So I guess that one.
Edgy youth pastor?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Cool. Everybody likes him. Would you rather be Pickle Rick or a man named Rick.
A man named Rick.
Pickle Rick is really funny, you know.
It's the funniest shit I've ever
It's
seen.
the best thing. He's a pickle.
And he was a man before.
Okay, I don't get why people think it's so funny, and I don't get why people think it's the worst thing either.
It's the best thing in the world.
It's fine.
But he was a scientist that turned himself into a pickle.
But what kind of pickle?
And just a regular dill, or what are they called, gherkin or something?
Jerkin pickles.
Last question: why do people on the highway never look back at me? Okay.
Last question: how dare you?
Well, Kevin, thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, anytime.
And we'll have to get some footage of you singing one of your songs.
Sure.
Sorry, can I interrupt? This has been an ad on this iPad for a while, and it keeps annoying me. If you purchase Trader Joe's canned tuna, you may benefit from a proposed class action settlement. That's been on there the whole time.
This is an American app for
it's
sure.
really annoyed me.
Please sue Trader Joe's for
What
bad
did they
tuna.
do to that tuna? Sorry,
Trader
Kevin.
Joe's is a company that. Sorry, I know. Like I've heard Trader Joe's, but they make tuna.
It's a grocery store that makes their own stuff.
Well,
it's pretty good.
that's what you get for it.
Well, it's not that good. You could get a class action lawsuit. Sorry about your ending there. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks for the recommendations. We're gonna get some footage of you, and we'll put that out maybe before or after this goes out.
And in the meantime, thank God we have America as an example for the world in our current COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Lighten the way for everyone else.
Just a slight dig there right at the end. I thought it was so good up until now. Go Trump.
Goodbye.
What an ending.
No. I was gonna say something about
Make America great again.
Oh yeah, Kevin Farrell on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle or your at?
I think it's Kevin Farrell 0.
Cool.
Like
Give
just-
him a
just
follow.
0. Yeah.
We'll link it down below.
Letterboxd, Bender the Cat.
Yeah,
The one I really
Letterboxd.
care about.
What? Tell our audience why they should download Letterboxd. It's not so popular.
If you're a movie buff of any kind, or you just love watching movies, it's a nice way to. You can give it a rating out of 5, like half stars, full stars, whatever, and just keep track of what you watch. You can make a list of directors. You can choose
Watch
to
list.
write a review if you want to, and see what your friends are watching. You can tell friends, especially if everyone's quarantining and stuff, like, hey, let's both watch this movie, and then see how you both feel about it and talk about it. It's
I
nice.
like it mostly for the watch list aspect, because there's always like a bunch of movies in my head that I want to see, but it's a good place to just keep them all in a row. Anyways, Kevin Farrell, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good one. See ya.
Bye.
Au revoir.